now rocking with the best. Who's the boxing show that's knocking out the competition? The kick-ass podcast that make you want to listen. The place where boxing fans and fighters rejoice. Thumbs up for Richie, you're listening to the fighter's voice.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Richard Ortiz of the Fighter's Voice, the only voice that matters. I want to jump right into it with our guest. He's ring announcer for Mayweather's promotions, but he didn't just start off that way. He started off with the dream, and now he's living proof that dreams come true, and he's living out the dream. We're going to talk about his career. We're going to get his take on some upcoming fights, and what was it like going all the way down to Dubai and announcing Floyd Money Mayweather, along with Anderson Spider Silva, UFC veteran, Hall of Famer. Before I go rampant and raving, I want to introduce our guest. Boy, that almost slipped out. Mr. Ralph Velez Jr. I hope I didn't chop up your last name, man.
No, that's good, man. That's perfect. How you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing good, man. Doing good. First of all, you know what? Tell us about Dubai, man. What was it like when your flight just landed?
Well, you don't know what to expect, right? Because you see all these things like, oh, Dubai is like, this billionaire's paradise, and you hear all these things, you see all these things on the movies. So when you get there, you expect like, you just expect the Jetsons over there, man.
Yeah.
And it's a crazy feeling because
I like that.
As soon as you get off the plane, like no matter where you go, hotels or taxi, these people just cater to you, and it was unbelievable. Like the buildings were cool, the architecture in that place is cool, the things to see there are cool, but the people there are unbelievable, and that's what I like the most about being there is I got to see a whole other side of the world, and the people that just treat you like royalty from the very beginning was crazy. So
I asked you that right off the show because we're going to go back in time. Okay, we're going to go back in time to this little kid who wanted to announce, what was it, WWE, or he just knew he was going to have a microphone in his hand. Now, correct. I asked you about getting off the plane in Dubai because we're going to go all the way back down. I believe you were 8 years old when you first said, you know what, this is what I want to do. I don't know if you told your mom first or your dad or you told yourself or your friends or your family. Do you remember the first experience you had with yourself saying, hey, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, I was actually in Little League, and I was 7 years old, and I was actually playing T-ball, or I was minor league at that time, 7 years old, just getting out of T-ball.
Yeah.
And I kept hearing the announcer and the main field, like, announcing these games, and I'm just like, man, at that time I was into wrestling, and Howard Finkel was my hero, and I'm like, you know what? I could do a way better job than that guy. So I asked the Little League guy if I could announce some of the games, and he said it was cool. He let me do a couple of names, and then a couple of names grew to like an inning, and then I was doing half of the games with him, and then before I knew it, I was doing all the games, and I did those games for like 15 years, almost 20 years. I was there every night during the summer, and when I got done playing ball, even during my high school games, when I was done playing high school ball or my college ball, I'd run to the Little League Park, and that's where I spent pretty much 20 summers of my career announcing. That's where I began my announcing career. So it was back then that I knew that I wanted to do it because I was so intertwined too with the wrestling, and then my father and grandfather were big into boxing. So that's when I started seeing Michael Buffer and Jimmy Lennon. And Jimmy Lennon at that time was barely starting to do the Showtime shows, and at that time HBO was king. So you got to see the HBO shows if you were privileged enough to have cable early on in those times. You got to see Buffer, and then you got to see Jimmy Lennon. So all that happened at one time, and Howard Finkel for the WWF at that time, and all three of those guys together, and Jeff Munn, the announcer of the Suns. So during this 7, 8, 9-year-old, person that I was trying to become, I already knew that I wanted to be like all those guys, and I tried to just figure out how my own style was going to be back then, and I already knew back then that that's what I wanted to be. So it's pretty crazy that God put that on my soul that early on.
Hold that comment about your own style, because I'm going to ask you later on in the show, when did you find your true voice and your true rhythm? But talk to us about that phone call. I remember on a previous show, we talked about you getting an opportunity, and you said, yeah, right, someone's playing around, and you hung up. And this company said, look, man, you hang up on us again, that's it. Ya estuvo, man. That's no more. So talk to us
Yeah, it
about
was.
that and what led up to that phone call.
Well, it was crazy because at that time, I was kind of upset. And Richard, because you announced as well that sometimes we feel like, man, like we could be doing more, right? Like we work hard, we're good enough. You're multifaceted. You could do anything from podcast to interview to commentary to announcing. Like you could do it all. And I felt like, man, I should be doing way more than what I'm doing right now. I really should. And sometimes we feel like we we were in our own space, but yet we feel like we should be, miles down the road. When in fact, we really should just let our being just become our being. And I'll get back to that as well later on in our conversation. But so I was like, man, I feel like I should be doing more. Iron Boy Promotions here in Phoenix, they really used me early on in my career. I'd say 2012, 13, I was doing a local card, and Bob Ware, who now is Floyd's cut man, they brought a fighter from Las Vegas that was hooked up with Mayweather. They heard me announce, and yet too, I was being proactive. I was going down to Sam's Town during that time, and I made sure that I bought a front row seat with all of my friends, and we were there cheering these guys on. And I made these guys know that I was there, that I wanted to be a part of their organization. So I got a phone call finally from someone there at Mayweather Promotions, and they said, "Hey, we heard you announce. We heard that you're around Sam's Town, like just trying to be known, and we heard you. We want to use you." I thought, like I told you, I thought it was one of my friends. I was like, dude, whoever's playing this trick on me, like, kiss my butt. And I hung up the phone. And I thought it was a joke. And they called back again. They said, if you hang up again, we're going to find somebody else. We're interested. What do you want? You want to work with us or not? Come down to Vegas. I went down and met with Kenny Craig, who is vice president of operations with Mayweather Promotions. And I met with him and we talked. And he had a vision. I had a vision. They wanted to take Mayweather Promotions into the next level. They thought they needed somebody with a little bit of enthusiasm, and it just worked out. And I've been with them 6.5 years straight. So luckily I didn't hang up the second time.
Hey, man, if you would have hung up the second time, I would have found out somehow and faxed my number. Because back then, fax machines were the thing, faxes. Remember? Or pagers, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely wasn't just a quick push of an email or a instant message, that's for sure. But luckily it worked out, man, and these guys have been really good to me, and I'm very thankful. We just got to work hard. I mean, Richard, you work so hard, man, and the stuff that you do, and it's time consuming, and it wears on the body and on the mind. The traveling, one thing, and this sport is very unforgiving. You can do a story or do a piece or do something really, really valuable to the sport, and then the sport moves on so fast, and there's so many stories and so many characters that go on that it's just like, okay, that was yesterday, what's going on today? So sometimes a lot of pieces of people or things that people do, or interviews that people do, they're fantastic, and then the next day they move on to something else and they kind of get lost in the shuffle. So it's very difficult. It's a very difficult sport to be in. Sometimes there's 1,000 people with video cameras that are trying to be doing exactly what you do, and they will go in there and maybe ask a question that was asked 100 times and get a crazy response from a boxer that's tired of answering the question, and yet that's the one that gets the 500,000 views. So it's just tough. It's a tough sport to be in. But Richard, come on, man, we want to be anywhere else. I don't think we want to be anywhere else, because this is a sport that we love, and now I'm addicted. And even the fights that I don't work, that you said, like we linked up in Vegas the other day, and neither one of us were really working in the fight. We went to go support and be media and just to be there because we love it so much. So that's where we're at right now, end game,
Well, when people talk to me about boxing, I'm keeping it real. I said boxing is a cruel, backstabbing, ugly, grotesque sport.
Absolutely.
But I love it, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. I absolutely love it. I mean, isn't that crazy to make that statement? And it's true. I mean, you go on the ugly side, but I mean, no matter what it does to me or us or the world, I'm embracing it and I'm not letting go.
You know what's crazy is that, like, I try to be cool with everyone. Like, I like the way you work. I like the way you do your work, and I know that you are pretty solid in the way you feel about your work, right? Like if you weren't solid or confident about what you do, you wouldn't be doing it. And the same with me. I don't worry about David Diamante, who was a friend, or Thomas Schreiber, or Jimmy Lennon, who's become one of my mentors and best friends. Like I don't worry about them. Why? Because to me, when it's my turn, when it's your turn, we just got to go in there and it's just time to shine. Like my monkey, or like that's why I use this time to shine, because at any moment in time, whether it's the referee that does a great job, who doesn't get noticed like he should, or an up and coming boxer who gave it his all, didn't come up, with the victory, but showed enough that he's going to get another opportunity down the line to maybe catch a title. Like everyone has their opportunity to shine, and it doesn't matter who it is. At some point in time, somebody's going to shine that night. And if it's the announcer, fantastic. If it's the commentator who has a fantastic call, like I tell my friend Bernardo Osuna, we talk all the time about opportunities. That man has a story. That man's been around for almost 30 plus years in the game, and didn't let himself get typecast into, he just does Spanish, or he just speaks Spanish. Like, he didn't allow that. And that's what we just tried to learn and figure out where we fit in. And every fight is different, Richard. Every event is different. You just want to go out there and do your best, and hopefully someone says, okay, Ralph, like, now it's your time to shine. We're going to move you up to the big leagues, or you're going to do this fight or this fight. And that's all we hope for, man, is the best. So with that being said, every time we go out there, we got to do our best. I know you do. I know you do with every interview and every podcast you do, which are great, by the way. And even when you announce, man, I like your work. I don't find anything wrong with it. And I don't ever get jealous of anybody. I feel sometimes that people, they're afraid to be friends with other announcers or other interviewers for the sake of competition. I don't care. I don't care to be friends with these guys, because if you're okay with what you do and you're 100% solid and believe in yourself, then you shouldn't worry about anybody else. And I don't. I don't. Not at all.
No, you've come a long way. You've come a long way, and a lot of it is opportunity. And let me say something real quick about opportunity. You can be a cut man and be one of the best in the world, except nobody knows about you because your fighter he don't got a cut. There's no headbutt. So you're going to stay there forever. It's not until there is a cut or a clash of heads, now I can shine. Now I can show everybody exactly what I've been waiting for. I mean, unfortunately, as a cut man and you want an opportunity, I mean, are you rooting for a headbutt? Are you rooting for a clash of heads? You need your opportunity. I mean, deep down, to be able to provide a service, and that service is, hey, patching up cuts. And you talked about a hero that doesn't get recognized like the referees. A lot of times it's these cut men. And why are they not cut? It's because the texture of their skin. They know exactly what they're doing. Yeah. They have their lane, and a lot of times they get overlooked.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. Like a perfect example, my friend Bob Ware, I believe he's the best rapper and cut man in the business, bar none. Like, I know that there's more famous cut men out there. There's a Stitch Durans of the world, and Stitch is cool. I have no problem with him. But when Bob Ware was a cut man for the Jake Paul fight, I was hoping 150% that he got a cut, because I know that if he got a cut, that Bob was going to stop it. And sure enough, Paul had the nastiest cut over his forehead, and Bob stopped it within a round and a half. And nobody mentioned anything about it. I think one person said, oh, the cut is stopped, but that cut was so nasty, and Bob did so good at that, and I was so proud of him. And now because of that, I think he's going to keep working with him, and hopefully it'll blow him up even more. And you're right, opportunities like that. Do we wish that, an announcer breaks, his neck, or no, of course not. We don't wish any of that. We don't wish that, any bad or harm. But yes, of course, we wish that maybe somebody had a prior engagement or double booked or fell ill, in Fresno. Hey, Richard, such and such felt, you got to come down to Fresno right now, and you're the man. And of course we wait for that, because we know that we've been preparing that for that moment our whole lives. And that's why when it's your time to shine, you have to make sure you hammer it home, and we just got to do our best.
I'm always joking around about these commentators. Hey, if somebody gets a sore throat, I'm ready to go. Or if there's an extra chair, I will jump right in. But, Ralph, I'll tell you what, till this day, man. Okay, I like that. And we'll talk about the statue of Deontay Wilder. I have a tie inside of my bag when I go cover, just in case the announcer gets stuck in the elevator, just in case something happens. I always see it going over again. I'm going to put that tie on, put my jacket, and let's go.
Bro, it's so funny you say that. So I'm going to go back to Bernardo Osuna because I'm telling you, this guy has taught me so much about preparation. Bernardo Osuna, and I don't want to spill the beans on this guy, but I'm gonna say it because I'm so proud of him.
One of the best in the world. One of the best in the world.
Yes, but he's one of the best in the world because his preparation. This dude makes notes for every single boxer, just in case he has to go in and do play-by-play. And it happened. It happened at ESPN like a year and a half ago, where Joe Tessitore got sick right before the broadcast, and they're like, hey, Bernardo, you got to get in there. And Bernardo had all his notes on every fighter, and he hammered this thing all the way home. And the director was like, yo, like, you do this all the time? And he's like, yep. As a matter of fact, Bernardo Osuna was supposed to be the play-by-play guy for the Dubai show, and he got sick and wasn't able to come. So he sent me, just in case I had to step in and do the play-by-play, notes this thick for only 4 fights. And I could not believe that he prepares that way, but that is why he is the king at what he does, because he is prepared beyond preparation, beyond what anybody would do. And that's why he works for the mothership, and you're right, one of the best in the world, period.
Absolutely. And he's able to reach a lot of people that a lot of people cannot reach, because he's multi-talented. And I heard one time that even he spoke French at the fighters meeting, and some other languages. And he, I joked around with him one time when we did an interview, and he was going to bust out in Ukraine or Russian or German, because the man, he studies, man. He respects his craft.
The interview I had with him was fantastic. I listened to the whole thing. It was great. You guys really worked well together, and everybody can. And the cool thing about him is he's not real boastful. He's very, very smart, very articulate, learned a lot from his father, passed that on to his kids. His kids, one of them goes to Stanford, the other one to USC. They're brilliant kids, and he's just a good man. And you put in 30 years of work and you don't get the recognition, and finally you get the recognition, and you do things right. That's why, like, for example, Kenny Bayless, another friend of mine, took him 25 years to get to be a referee in Vegas. Like, when I hear that story and I'm saying, man, I've been here for 6 years and I'm bitching about, not being where I'm supposed to be at, but yet Kenny Bayless waited 20 plus years to be where he's at, and he's the best in the world. Bernardo Osuna waited 30 years to get his opportunity to shine. Like, if this can be any kind of passing down to younger kids that are watching this, or even ourselves as a reality check, we have to just wait and do our best, and our time will come. So that's what we do,
Yeah, it's all about opportunity too, and what are you going to do with it, and how you prepare yourself, and actually how you prepare yourself the day before. What did you do? Did you live the lifestyle that needs to be lived for this profession? That's what you got to ask yourself, especially living in Vegas or going from trip to trip, and sometimes it's out of your control as far as lack of sleep. Now,
people get mad at me though, because I overanalyze everything. I don't like having names pronounced wrong. I always make sure that when I get to the weigh-in, I get there before the commission. I sit next to the commission as when each fighter comes in. I go over the city, I go over the record, I go over the pronunciation of the name. I'm very anal when it comes to that, because that's my job. I don't like when my name, Velez, is mispronounced, Valdez, Velez, and I appreciate you taking the time to learn it, because that's what a professional does. You make sure you don't butcher the name, and that's just what I do. I don't go out. I don't drink any alcoholic beverages or any soda before the show. Like, after the weigh-in, I drink nothing but water. I drink throat coat. Jimmy Lennon gave me this throat coat medicine that works fantastic for your throat. You drink it all the night before, because these BBC shows get long. Like, sometimes they front load because they have a lot of fighters under contract. There'll be sometimes where I'll do 12 fights, and there's one time in LA where I did 16 undercard fights. So you never know what you're gonna get, and you just got to be prepared. So I don't live the lifestyle, like especially in Vegas. My friends get so mad when they go out there and they want to join me in the show because I don't go out the night before. Afterwards, we all get together. Like you met up with us at the lobby bar, which you're more than welcome to join us in every single fight. You're the new member there now, but we do that every single fight. We wait until the fight's over. All the people that are involved in the show. I mean, you saw Teofimo Lopez was hanging out there with us for 2 or 3 hours because that's just the group that we've built there, and we do it afterwards. But yeah, they get upset. They're like, "Come on, just 1 drink, 2 drinks." And I'm like, "Nah, I can't do it. I need to be prepared." So you never know who could be watching, Richard. So you got to make sure you're prepared.
Well, you know what? The shows that I do, everybody wants to buy the ring announcer a drink during the show. Now, when the show's over, hey, they're nowhere to be found. But it's all good. Sometimes they'll catch up to you, and they appreciate what you do.
Because I learned during the Benavidez Gavril card back in 2017 when Benavidez won his first fight, his first title. I got to announce that fight, and it was still the cards that weren't even on television yet. And somebody said, "Hey, Ralph, Al Haymon says not to do that, to say it this way." I said, "What do you mean?" I go, "Is he here?" They're like, "No, he just called us." And it wasn't even on television. Like, they were non-televised.
Oh, wow.
Somehow he was able to see this. So I'm like, yo, if this man can see what's going on, God knows how many times or how many fights or who's watching. So you always got to be prepared. And from that day forward, I swear to you that I'm uber prepared for everything and anything that's coming.
Well, Al Haymon's like the guy, hey, ignore that man behind the curtain on The Wizard of Oz. I mean, he is just everywhere. And everybody's following the yellow brick road to try to get next to this guy. And,
it's a unicorn. He's the unicorn. I've only met him one time, and that was during Mayweather McGregor. I met him for 5 seconds because everybody thought Sam Watson was Al Haymon for the longest time, right?
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, Al Haymon's the guy that's with his sons," and no, they're like, that's Sam Watson. And when you meet Al Haymon, you're like, it is. It's like the guy behind the Wizard of Oz. You have no idea what to say, what to do. You're just like, "Hey, sir, nice to meet you," and that's it. But one time in my career, I've met him. That's it.
Hey, how was that encounter? He just happened to be passing by an event you were covering?
Yeah, it was Sam Watson.
Work?
I introduced myself. He goes, "Yeah, I know who you are." And I go, "I appreciate you letting me working for you, for your company, and I'll do my best." And that was it. Sweet and to the point, because he's a very quiet man, very quiet and very studious. And he doesn't even have a cell phone.
Smart man.
No cell phone, no nothing. Just not even a small flip like the old Nokia 8260s or something like that. Nothing. Got nothing. It's crazy.
Hey, when you're that stature in the game, I mean, Ralph, do you really need one? I mean,
no, you don't want to be. You don't really want to be bothered because like just as well as I do. Even it's funny. I tell everybody when I'm about to work. I said, "Look," I said, "if the show starts at 6, by 3 o'clock, I'm already in the arena. I'm getting mentally focused. You know the drill, man. You just go into this zone, and you're like, please don't call me. Your tickets will be at will call." Especially here in Phoenix, these Iron Boy shows. In my contract, I get like 20, 30 tickets. So like I try to invite as many friends and family as I can, or I'll invite some kids from the Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah.
That's down the street from my house, or I'll try to find people that can't afford to go. I'll give them tickets. But I always tell them, like, just go to will call. Like, don't call me. Don't do nothing, because I just, not to be mean, but I'll talk to you after the show. Yeah. And of course, 5:55 comes. Hey, we're outside. My phone's going crazy. You got text messages, calls, and I don't blame them. I understand, but at the same time, it's like, man, bro, I'm just trying to get ready so I don't make a fool out of myself. Email me. I got to get an assistant when it comes to that, but then I think that'll be too bougie, so I just try to handle it myself.
Well, you started talking about the preparation. We're going to go into this, and then we're going to start talking about the Mayweather and the Benavidez, and then we're going to talk about the big fight this Saturday. Now, a fighter gets his hand wrapped. He gets warmed up. He gets polished up. He's hitting the pads. How does one Rambling Ralph, prepare himself? Where's your hand wraps, so to speak? Where's your hitting the mittens, so to speak? Talk to us about 24 hours of the event, leading up to the event. How do you prepare yourself?
All right, so like for right now, for example, I'm going to get on the plane as soon as I'm done with this podcast, and I'm going to head to New York, right, for the show on Saturday.
Yes.
I've already asked for the bout sheet way ahead of time. And what I do is 24 hours before, I will practice the names. I will try to not memorize them, but I will try to make sure that I'm getting the pronunciation down. And I type out everything. It's a pain in the butt, but I type out everything because I'm left-handed. So when I write, my handwriting sometimes I can't read it, to be honest with you. So like for me, my preparation is more than most because like a Jimmy Lennon, he turns the paper sideways and then writes down. So it's like more of like a longer type 8x14 type paper, which
like
goes
45.
parallel. I can't do that because I can't read. It's too small. So I type out everything. I have already blank bout sheets done that are blank. I just fill in the blank, print them. I have everything printed out the day before. When I get to the weigh-in, I make sure I ask their name. I make sure I got everything done. And then from that point on, after the weigh-in, I just go back and I make sure that the biggest thing that I find, and it's not anybody's fault, is that, and you probably experience this too, the commissions will switch like bouts, or they'll switch referees or judges, and then they don't say nothing to anybody, right? So like
remember, Rob, you're a mind reader.
Exactly. It makes you, and then it falls back on you because when you look around and then the judge goes, "Oh, that's not me," and then it looks bad on you. So for any person trying to get into this business, you want to be an announcer, triple check the commission sheets. There's been every single fight card I go to, even the big boys, there's always slight changes that will make you look bad if you don't triple check. So in all this 24 hours, it's preparation with the printouts. I got the bout sheet already a long time ago. I got it 48 hours ago. So I'm already prepared with that. I've got my typos already done up. I've got the only thing I need is what the day of the fight, at 8 a.m, I'll email the promotion because the commission will then get back to the promotion the weights. Then somebody with the promotion will type in the weights and then send it back. Therefore, I have everything that I need. When I get to the arena, I get there 3 hours early. I bug the commission until they give me the announcer's notes. There has the judges on it. And an hour and a half before the show starts, I'm ready to go. Most announcers won't do that. They'll just show up. They'll just look 5 minutes before, write stuff in, and go. But I don't like doing that because I've done that before and I've kind of fouled up a little bit and I don't get prepared. I just like being over-prepared. And that's what I do every single fight, whether it's a 1,000-seat arena or a 500-seat arena or Barclays Center on Saturday. I prepare the same way because that's just what I do.
Hey, man, accidents can happen, man. I mean, the fighter could be out of the blue corner, and yet you happen to glance down at his red shoes, and your mind's telling you red because of the shoes. And I started to say red, and I had to just, play it off as much as I could. I had no business looking at his red shoes, but they were just popping. But he was out of the blue corner. It happened at the last event, and things happen.
But you know what's crazy though about that is that if you really go back and look at like the Buffers and the Lennons, everybody makes mistakes. Like and only the mistakes that they make, like only other announcers really can catch it, right? Like a normal fan will say, "He didn't mess up. You did really good." But we know when there's errors. We know when there's errors with timing, with pitch, with names, with corners, with judges. We in the industry know when we foul up, not so much the fan. So sometimes we're a little bit hard on ourselves. Like, I'm hard on myself. When I screw up a little bit, I get upset because I try to be as perfect as I can, but there is no such thing. If God made perfect, brother, we wouldn't be here sitting here talking about this and talking about trials and tribulations. But we just got to keep going. When I make a mistake, I just keep going. Like I never made the mistake. And that's just the golden rule. You make a mistake, you just keep going. You forget it happened immediately. And like even Buffers said, "Oh, pardon me," and then he'll read the mistake that he's made.
But see, isn't that Buffer? He can get away and say, "Pardon me." That'd be the thing to say for him. And that was be a fad. It's like, okay, I want to make a mistake so I can say pardon me. I mean, he has that much of a following, that much of a legacy. I mean, Ralph, you know what I'm talking about? Exactly, right?
Yes. Yeah, he's as he gets, towards the end of his career, and this guy might announce till he's 90 years old. Who knows? He made a couple of mistakes here and there, and he just said, "Oh, excuse me," or "Pardon me, red corner," or "blue corner," and it's just, and nobody says anything to the man at all because he's earned the right, And I guess we got to pay our dues so we can start getting our errors forgiven and get mulligans for that. Until then, try not to mess up.
Well, I'll tell you this, and I've this would be the first time that I ever tell anybody. Ring announcing for me is the most difficult thing for me. Period. Bar none. Bar none. It's stressful if I don't have all the paperwork. 80% of the time, I write the itinerary. When I ask these guys, I'm like, oh, come on. Okay, doors open at 5. First bout's at 7. Intermission. Okay, because at the end of the day, they're going to hand me all these papers. I'm only listening to the promoter. That's all I'm listening to. Okay, this is his nickname. Make sure you say that we asked this at the meeting. Okay, let me do you're playing all catch up. Now, commentating is just, I wish I would do more of it. It just comes so natural, and I can see things before they happen.
Right.
Interviewing, I love it because I try to ask the questions. I can have some notes, like I have some notes today, but I'm going to go wherever you take me, Ralph. I don't need to go here if you're telling me who shot Kennedy already.
Right,
you understand?
Right.
We're going to go along that path. So
natural flow.
Those honestly, I'm not trying to sound arrogant. I can do them with my eyes closed. Ring announcing, oh man, it's just I do it to help people out, and I do it because I don't want to turn it down.
Of course, and I'm the opposite. I have got to commentate for Mayweather on the streams, and I feel like I'm very underprepared. Even though you prep, you just feel like you're underprepared because you hear the greats like Jim Lampley, and you're like, man, I'm over here doing play-by-play on this professional card, and I'm not Jim Lampley, and I'm not Barry Tompkins. Like, what am I doing? Like, it's very difficult. The first 2 fights in any show that I do commentary, I hate it because I'm trying to get into the flow. Like, it's just not like if I'm announcing, like immediately I'm in the flow from the very beginning, whether there's 3 people in the stands or 3,000 already, like I'm full steam ahead immediately. Commentating, no. Interviewing is, I like doing it only because my interviews are like your interviews. We're talking like if we're friends, and that's the best interview because a fake interview is just that. It's fake. And your podcasts are great because they're never like that. They are not, we're going to do robotic, mechanical podcasts. It's like, yo, we're friends, man. And this is why they're so good, because it's like you're able to get things out of people naturally instead of forcefully. And there's a certain strategy to do it. And you just let it go where it goes, and good things happen.
They got to feel comfortable. First of all, the host has to feel comfortable. And,
right.
Hey, we can touch any base we want, and and we'll go wherever anybody wants to go. I can introduce it. I can offer you something to eat. It's up to you if you want to eat it and go that way. Or sometimes, Ralph, you may just want to go to the dessert, and that's okay too. We can do that too.
Yeah, the last time we spoke, I got excited because there was so many things happening that I kind of spoke a little bit too much. So No. You're a host's dream. You just ask the question and let him take over the show as far as all this information. They don't want to hear me. They don't want to look at me. A buddy of mine, Mark Davis, I'll give him props. Mark Davis I used to call him Mark Davis behind camera. He did some of my first interviews. And the camera guy never got a shout out or anything. So at the very end, I'll say, hey, Mark Davis behind camera. I would always let him know. So after one show, I'm looking at the show. And he says, you like looking at yourself, huh? And I said, is that what you see? And he goes, yeah. And I go, no, I'm looking at all the mistakes I made. Correct.
I'm looking at what I could have done better, or, I should have brought this in here. And what am I doing what am I doing scratching my nose on camera?
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking at.
It's funny that you say that because somebody said, man, you love listening to yourself announce. I'm like, you don't understand. I watch it to see if I am on the outside looking in, would I like this announcer? Am I doing the right things to capture? And it's all about learning process. So
Yeah.
I do the same thing, bro. You're absolutely right. It's not about us at all. It's about trying to be better at what we're doing so that the fans, get their money's worth, and the people watching the show, be like, hey, man, yeah, I definitely like hearing this guy because I'd want to come back and listen to this guy. Period. That's I'm right along with you with that. I
mean,
agree.
we could always get better, and I will say that. I try to prepare myself as much as I could, and to be honest with you, shame on me a lot of times because I could always do better. But I mean, we only have so many hours in the day, man. We and I don't sleep as much as I should. I wish I could, and hey, it's part of it. You got to hold down a job and you got to do what you need to do and go after your passion because you got to be happy. You got to balance itself out. But sometimes you just got to be, and I don't know if you know this guy. You just got to be a land shark like Rick Merigian, the promoter. I mean, this guy does not sleep. Sleeps with one eye open.
Dude, that guy on his Twitter account is alive and moving. Like he doesn't care.
He doesn't care.
He doesn't care about anything. He just cares about him and his circle, and that's the way it should be. So. Props out to him. He don't care.
Well, yeah, he's making it happen, man, and yeah. I mean, it's all about business and it's all about opportunity, and he creates his own business and creates his own opportunity, and he likes to spill. He loves to talk, and he loves to let you know what he knows, and if you listen close enough, he just gave you a lesson, the blueprint. It's up to you what you do with it.
He drops gems all the time. It's just if you have to, you may think it's arrogance, but it's actually. Trying to help you get in the game a little bit,
There we go.
It's just like the baseball legend who's getting down on the rookie for not taking the ball to the opposite field with 2 strikes, shortening up on your swing, instead of saying, well, who the hell are you to tell me anything? You listen and you say, you know what? Yeah, next time I am going to go down the line, hit that double and bring that run in and win the game. Period. Either you take the lesson or you don't. That's it.
I'm glad you said that because a lot of times people don't understand baseball. Baseball is a beautiful sport.
It's amazing.
Let's describe that same scenario. Taking the outside pitch. A lot of people I just want to make contact. No, you don't. No, you do not. You got to know. Okay, if you got a guy stealing third coming home and they come inside, there's no way in God's green earth are you going to pull it towards your own. I mean, come on. You're going to do whatever you need to do in transition. Every pitch is a transition.
Baseball is my favorite sport, even more than boxing. I played it all my life. I tried to play professionally, but I had my son, my firstborn, so that dream ended right away at 18 years old. But I coached. I still coach. I coach all my children. I've got 5 guys in the D1 schools. A lot of people don't know that about me. Is that I do a lot of private lessons, baseball as well. And the very first thing we do in a swing is I teach them how to stay inside on the ball and go the opposite direction. That way they can keep their eye on the ball for as long as possible, and it keeps them from turning their head. And I tell these guys, if you can hit the ball the opposite way and learn how to bunt the ball, you will play every single day. They will find a position for you to play if you can move the guy over and hit to the opposite field. Period.
You're a value. It's almost like a catcher. Fastest way to the
and then that's the thing in life too, right? It's like in life we have to be able to hit the opposite way. Hey. Our announcer went down. Can you come tomorrow? Brittany Goosen's asked me that a bunch of times. And even in Brooklyn, she's like, hey, I need you here by tomorrow. That's a curveball. What do we do with that? Do we pull that and try to hit it out of the park and miss it? Or do we just put the ball in play, hit it the opposite direction, get a little double down the line, and bring the run in?
Yeah, my camera's off. There we go. So, Ralph, you listen, I like the suits that you have, man. I mean, from the tux to down to the tie matching the hanky. Bro, who's your tailor? And now I'm looking at the cufflinks and I'm looking at the watch. Everything is popping on you. And
what are you looking at? I can't see it.
We're live on YouTube, and I just brought you up right now. I mean, I got pictures of you announcing with the Showbox and then also with the Money Team, and you're looking sharp.
I couldn't see it. Oh. What color is it? I've got like multiple colors.
Well, you tell me what does Ralph's closet look like? The viewers, the fans, the followers want to know. I don't want to know about the Jordans. I want to know about the suits.
Yeah, I don't wear Jordans too much anymore, man. I have flat foot, so Jordans, we don't get along very well. So my thing is, even when I was a kid, I like the colorful and not to just be noticed, but I just like different. I like to be different. You know, the tuxedo that I wore in Dubai was the first tux that I've worn probably in the last 9 years. I usually would wear crazy colors and you know just to be different. I mean, I love reds. I love the blues. I love you know the black with the polka dots. I mean, I like all that stuff. I just want something that's gonna match my flower and match my handkerchief, and I just go from there. So I literally have a rainbow of all reds, all blues, all purples, all greens, all blue. I just try to match them and just see what we come up with. And if I could wear a top hat in the ring, I would, because that's the only thing missing from the.
Those are sharp. I like those. I mean, not everybody can wear them. You can get away with them.
Well, I lost all my hair, so I think I could get away with it now. Before I would have been able to, but I just want to, man. I just want to look, just be different. You know, I have like even ties that have the Mexican blanket patterns on them that I wear once in a while. It's just being different. I think that if you look good, if you try to look good, you feel better about yourself. You feel more confident. Just like in a job interview, you know, you go out there and you don't want to look sloppy. You don't want to look like your tux is wrinkled and a lot of times I have that problem. Like even in Dubai, they didn't have a steamer, and I forgot my steamer, so I had to get my tuxedo and I had to put it in the shower and do it old school and throw some water at it, close the door, let it get heat, you know, get the steam in there.
Yeah.
And I had a natural dry cleaner in the bathroom, and that's what I had to do, man. But I always just try to make sure I look okay so that I feel better about myself, and you know, you go out there with a little bit of confidence.
Oh, you have to. So let's wrap this around us now that we're going this direction. Right when we're about to go hit the event, what's your cologne of choice?
Oh man, I've got the cologne of choice is one that I'm gonna drop this gem because
Don't tell me it starts with a C, because if it does, I want a sample of that.
No, it's called Prada Luna Rosa Carbon, and that I'm really upset about that because Prada's gonna start to discontinue this cologne, but I spray it on one time before the show, and it lasts for the last 3 hours, 3.5 hours. People that hug me after the show, they still say, "Oh, I can still smell it. What are you wearing?" It's the best, man. You got to go out and get it. That is, you know, you already have a significant other, and so do I. But for anybody out there that's looking to try to get a significant other, that's the one you got to get.
Well, there you go. But I've been hearing this cologne called Creed, and
oh yeah, Creed.
I
Creed
want to
cool,
smell this, man. I've never smelled it.
But dude, that's like a $600 cologne, bro. And you know, it may look like I think that I'm out there living lavishly, but I really watch what I spend my money on, and I make sure that if I'm gonna wear a $600 cologne, this thing better have gold flakes in it, or better drive itself, or better, you know, that smell better last for 6 months without going away, because that's a lot of money for cologne. So the product's cool. It's $120, perfect price range. It's got all these reviews online. It's the best, man. It's the best.
Hey, Ralph, I just want to smell it. I didn't say I was going to buy it unless you Regis Prograde. We had him on the show, and he goes, yeah, I bought a bottle the other day. I mean, you know, it's like me saying, oh, yeah, I bought a hot dog the other day or a hamburger the other day. For Regis goes, yeah. I got some. It's cool, bro. And, you know, that's what he said. He goes, yeah, I got some. So
I actually have these travel packs that I take, and I have a bunch of those.
Yeah.
And I promise you, the next fight that we link up at, I'll give you one so you can have it. You won't go back to anything else. What do you wear? What's your cologne of choice?
Oh man, I just know it's a light blue bottle and a dark blue bottle. I think is a Versace, but I mix it.
Yeah, I like Versace Home. That's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
And I mix it. But then, you know, I still got the old school green polo, and I still got the old Jacquard. I mean, I'll just rock those, and I just can't get rid of them. Bro, I even got some Hermes. I even got some cologne. I'm saying, no, Quorum.
My dad used to wear Hermes.
Check this out. They don't make this anymore, but so they're selling it real expensive. I got a little bottle. It's called Jazz, right? If you go online, it's discontinued, but they're selling it for an arm and a leg. But yes, it's you know, I like the new stuff, old stuff.
You're a good man, because my dad used to wear Hermes, and
my brother did. He introduced me to that.
Why do you wear this cologne? Like what? I mean, it doesn't even like It doesn't smell. It smells like old.
I thought it
like
smelled like
leather
weed
shoe.
in the beginning when I was in high school. I thought it smelled like
Man, it
weed.
smelled like an old leather shoe to me. I'm like, Dad, this thing right here is just not the business, man. He wore it for like literally like 40 years, and then he changed to Obsession. But
Obsession
was
too. I
like,
got some Obsession
he
too.
wore
Yeah.
that. The green polo though was one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah.
That's
a
an all-time
classic.
great.
Oh, that's a classic. You can't go wrong.
No, Drakkar. I have a really bad story about Drakkar. I thought it was a badass. In 6th grade, my mom bought me Drakkar for Christmas.
You put the whole bottle
my
on.
school. I take it to school. I, start spraying my boys, and I dropped because the bottle was glass, and of course, Ralph drops the bottle right in the hallway, and St. Catherine's of Siena Elementary School for about 3 weeks smelled like Drakkar as you're walking past 6th grade.
I believe that story.
But just wasn't holding on to it properly, and there went $80 worth of cologne. But that's my Drakkar moment. I used to love Drakkar, dude. That was my favorite. That was my absolute favorite.
I knew you would do this somewhere, somehow in the show. You are the only one that I've had on the show ever that when I ask a question, you flip it and say, well, let me ask you this. What's yours? And you put me in the passenger seat. I remember you did that last time. You kind of caught me off guard because I was surprised and I was waiting for it to happen. So yeah.
Yeah, because I also have we do a Levels podcast and sometimes I like to flip it like I do it to Ellie Setback all the time, and he like trips out on me because I'm like, dude, why are you asking me a question? Well, I said, Ellie, you're asking me a question. I want to ask you a question. You can't be the only one asking questions all the time, bro. We want to know what's going on with you too.
The GOAT. I mean, they couldn't even do a documentary on him because he would refuse to let them follow him. Because then we would see how he would transition into 3 different people and be at 3 different spots at one time.
I call him, what did I used to call him? The Invisible Man, because he'd be, L.A. Saturday morning, Vegas Saturday afternoon, back to L.A. Saturday night.
Well,
just craziness.
I caught him one time. I did a Mikey Garcia event in L.A., and then the next day went to Vegas. So I see Ali because I saw him at the Mikey Garcia event. I saw him in Vegas. So in Vegas, he's passing by, and he gives a double take like, whoa, what do you do? He was asking, hey, how's it going? He wanted to say, whoa, what are you doing here? And just, someone kind of matched him just one time. But
that's good, man, because he's everywhere, and if you matched him, that's good for you.
Well, I just say it just happened to work out that way. I mean, that's a whole story in itself. Let's talk about Dubai. You get off there, and you notice everything leading up to Mayweather's fight, and questions were coming in earlier. So I'll stop this right now. What's Floyd like? Not the businessman, not what everybody sees on camera, him splurging or buying things. What's he like when he's just in maybe a limousine or on a jet and he's just collecting his thoughts?
Well, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. When Floyd Mayweather is out in public, it is very difficult to have a friendly conversation like you and I, or to kind of hang out, because it's a spectacle. Like, this man, everywhere he goes,
can't go anywhere.
There's people, he can't go anywhere. So in public, it's hard. In private, he's different. He likes sports. He likes basketball. He's a different human being. Especially even at Girl Collection. Shout out to Girl Collection. His spot there in Vegas. If anyone wants to really know the kind of person that he is, that's really the place where he's the most friendliest. He doesn't get attacked in there. He doesn't have 30 bodyguards around him. They're there, but they're not as bad as if he was walking out in a ball or anything. So it's very difficult. It's very difficult to be a friend to him in that stance, or in that instance rather, because there's just so many moving parts. Everybody in the world knows who this man is. So if he goes to the mall, he takes, a couple of hundred steps, there's 300 people around. And even in Dubai, he walked in the mall and it was just unreal. And you just can't do nothing there at that point. You just kind of walk and protect him as a friend and just, join the party. But in private, he's a good guy. He's a nice guy, very humble. And when the camera's on, of course, he play the part. Because if he doesn't play the part, there's no money coming in. I really truly feel like, Money Mayweather is like he said it before, he's the Dallas Cowboys of boxing. He does it. He knows that people want to see him lose. They tune in to see him lose. They pay money to see him lose, and then he does it. So they keep wanting him and wanting him and wanting him to lose. And one of these days, maybe he'll win him over when it's all said and done. But at the end of the day, the guy's still making a lot of money, so he's going to keep it up. He'll keep doing what he's doing.
Well, I'll tell you a couple stories about him, and then I'm going to ask you what's it like interviewing him. And I have this shirt right here, and this is only I wore it one other time. I bought Richie a shirt. Richie has the same shirt as me.
That's my favorite shirt, by the way. That combo.
This shirt, yeah, this is old. This is a couple years. Yeah, the hat I got later when I went to Vegas and you know, when they had all those belts in display, and I kept saying, man, I can't pay $45 for a hat. Kept circling around. Go, let me do it. Boom. But you know, I had to put it together.
Well, you look good though. You look like a million.
Oh,
45 makes you look like a million. Look at you.
Well, there you go. I appreciate that. So Richie has the same shirt, and we were watching, you know, like you watch 24/7 Mayweather. He's shooting baskets, but he's like at an amusement park or somewhere, or his house, and he's shooting him. He's not looking at him, you know, like when he would hit the speed bag. But when he would make it, he would say, "All day, Money May, all day, Money May." So me and Richie were going around the house. Whenever we do something spectacular, say, "All day, Money May,
all day, Money May,
all day, Money May." And a lot of people would frown on me, honestly, because I was a Mexicano supporting and loving Floyd Mayweather. I'm a fan of the sweet science first and foremost. I don't care what color you are. I don't care.
Correct.
Actually, to this day, Triple G is one of my favorite fighters. I pick him to win. I mean, is it a long shot? Yeah. If he comes in the pocket, you know, maybe he can land one. But there's where it is. And I thought you know, I'll say it right now. I'm going to get a lot of text messages. In my opinion, he beat Canelo twice. Not once. And I don't want to hear about the second one. He beat him twice.
Not just yours. You're right.
Okay.
You're right.
So, you know, I do, you know, I'm going to stick with who? My favorite fighter of all time, Ralph, is Thomas the Hitman. Is this the Ralph show or what's going on here? It's Thomas the Hitman Hearns.
Yeah, definitely. You know what's crazy about Thomas Hitman Hearns? We're going to get into this before I get done with this interview, but Thomas the Hitman Hearns and Hagler are still my all-time favorite fight.
Yeah.
It is the best 3 rounds of boxing you will ever see. It will never be duplicated. But on Saturday,
yes,
we might have something pretty similar, if not comparable to that, because we'll get into it later. But these two gentlemen that are going to fight on Saturday, they really, really do not like each other. So
then let's fast forward that, because okay. Let me ask you this about Hagler Hearns: how many times did you rewind that first round when you were a kid and just watching
it yesterday?
Okay, you never get old.
So many times I had it on VHS.
Oh,
I watched it so many times.
All my collection is still on VHS.
Yeah, the voice kind of got drowned out because I watched it so many times that I kind of lost the voice, and I kind of get those like poltergeist things because I used to watch the tape so many times.
Yeah.
Now I can just turn on
Poltergeist.
on Facebook. That thing comes up like every other day on my timeline. That fight.
Are you sure you're watching the fights when that poltergeist thing happens? You sure you're not just coming from the center bar in Vegas and then you're seeing poltergeist things?
Yeah. No. The center bar, you know, I've chilled out on my drinking a lot. I wanted to get in a little bit of a better shape because the Vegas life was kind of getting to me a little bit. I was kind of getting a little lackadaisical. So we're working on that right now. The goal for 2023 is I want to drop 40 pounds, dude. I'm going to do it. And I have a bet with my mother, $3,000. And if I don't do it by November, I got to pay my mother $3,000. Shout out to my mother, by the way, my biggest fan.
Shout out to your mom. And you know what? I want to talk about those shoes. Can we display the shoes right there? Your mom busted out and got you these shoes?
Yes. So you're looking at my TMT MC shoes, I guess.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Looking at them right now.
Can't see them, but
we got them on display right now. TMT and then MC.
Yeah. Yeah, my mom is my biggest fan. She anywhere she can go to that's feasible for her, Florida, Vegas, California, she goes. She has always been the one who brings me back in. And she's like, you know, you got to make sure that you work hard. You let people know who you are. You don't do it boastfully. You do it with your work. You do it with backing yourself up, backing your talk up with your work. And she figured out how to use Facebook, and now she's kicking butt on it. So she's my number one fan. She makes comments on almost every one of my pictures, which at first I was like, Mom, like you're blowing up my Facebook, but you know, one of these days I'm not gonna get those posts,
Yeah.
and I kind of realized that I'm blessed for having a mother that actually does that for me. So I'm pretty thankful.
Ralph, back in the day when I would go to Vegas, I would take my mom to meet Chavez, to meet Tyson, Frankie Randall, you name it. And before they would leave, I mean, okay, if you're an adult like me or you, get in line like everybody else. If you're a child or you're a mom figure, elderly, they're going to stop for you. But see,
Oh yeah, they cut the line for everything.
oh,
You're right.
exactly, from the Oscar De La Hoyas. But before they leave, she would say, Mijo, let me bless you. Bro, my mom blessed Mike Tyson.
Nice.
And
Really?
when she said, "Oh, I appreciate meeting you. It's such an honor." And I remember he said, "I'm nothing. I'm just a regular person." He said, "Thank you. I'm flattered." And this is when he did the Larry King show, right before the Peter McNeely fight. Fight. We went down there, and that's a whole show in itself. But yeah, my mom. I mean, she wouldn't let you out of her sight. She had to meet everybody and bless them. If
That's awesome.
she would be probably Jose Ramirez's biggest fan. And not even call him Jose, probably just Mijo or just, I don't know. She would do all that stuff. You know what the mothers do, right?
Yeah, of course, of
Yes.
course. That's awesome to get a blessing from someone like that. That's pretty awesome.
It is awesome. Now let's talk about your awesome job, okay? I want to talk a little bit about, okay, we talked about Mayweather. I
Yeah.
want to talk about, David Benavidez. Mike Tyson nicknamed him the Mexican Monster. Now,
Yeah.
David used to be a chubby kid. He was in. And I'm gonna tell a story without mentioning names, but people they'll put two and two together. Somebody saw him working out in Wild Card, and he was maybe 16 years old. So this gentleman who runs a big event here in Fresno called a certain somebody, says, "You need to get your ass over here right now. You got to sign this kid. This kid is going to be champion of the world someday." He described him as this chubby kid, but he was kicking adults. I mean, he was taking them, pushing them to the next level, and that was David Benavidez. Now, you've known the family forever, and I've heard your testimonies with them, with the father and the brother. How proud do you feel knowing that you've watched him from just the regular fighter to the progression that he is today to someday being a household name?
Man, I tell you, David Benavidez, I knew the kid when he was pushing over 200 pounds. But yet this kid would not get out of the gym. I mean, he is a gym rat. He worked hard. Just think about it. To get down to 168, to get down, even losing 20 pounds for anyone is difficult. And in a teenager, in a preteen who really should be playing outside, should be having friends, hanging out, going to the movies, whatever, he didn't do it. He knew back then what he wanted to be. He had a good start with his brother, was already fighting. And I tell you, it's a testament to him. He got it off. I mean, he would be in the gym all day, every day. And it's amazing to see what he's been able to do, not only with his body and soul-wise, but his life. He found a partner that he loves. He has a child now who he loves tremendously. And just as a person, the hell with the titles, the hell with the undefeated records. I mean, the guy he's a man. He's a man. He's a good father, a good husband, and it's hard to be those things when you're in that business, because so many things take you away, especially when you've made mistakes in the past. David admittedly made mistakes that he shouldn't have, and yet he's still getting chastised for it on social media. But at the end of the day, he's a man now, and he's already cleared those humps. He's away from that. That's in the past, in the rearview mirror for him, and he's looking to be the best at 168. And I tell you, each fight he goes out, he just keeps getting better and better. I mean, this fight the other night, look, I understand it was against David Lemieux. We all knew that David Lemieux was a smaller fighter, but David Lemieux's never been manhandled like that, ever, at all, at any point in time in his career. And even your man, Triple G, which I love dearly as well, I mean, it took him a little bit more time to get him out of there. Yes, it was a few years back, but, I mean, David Lemieux was on a 4 or 5 winning streak here, and looking to get some good licks in, and he wasn't able to do it. I don't even think he hit David but a couple of times. So I'm really happy.
All I did was upset him, and but I think he is going to be the sole undisputed champion at 168 when he does get his opportunity. Whether him and Canelo cross paths or not, and I can see him taking that frame up to 175s eventually, but there is business in the 160, 168 division. What's your take on him getting the big name fights? I mean, what do you feel? What are you feeling? What's going to be the biggest name that crosses his path? What are we getting?
Caleb Plant and Charlo. I don't think you're going to see the Canelo fight. I honestly
don't. No, I don't think so either.
I think that once Canelo fights Triple G,
he's staying at 175.
September, I think he's going to vacate the 168 and go to 175. Yeah. He's going to stay there. I don't think that the victories stayed too well in his mouth. I think he left a bad taste in his mouth. I think he let everybody down, his whole country, his fans, and he's going to try to avenge that rematch. Now, if they get Bivol to 168, that's a different story. We don't know what Bivol will look like at that weight. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming it'll be the same story. Bivol just too big. I mean, that guy is, man, Canelo was hitting him with the kitchen sink, and the kid wasn't even moving. It was weird. It was weird how that played out. And maybe if Canelo has a different game plan,
thank you.
That'll change.
I was about to say that right now. It doesn't matter. And I was going to ask you, did you agree with the game plan? And no disrespect to Eddie Reynoso, why change it when it's not broken? That's what the Canelo camp is thinking. But sometimes in life, that curveball, you got to make that transition.
Well, when you load up shots and it's not working, maybe you should change it up a little bit. Mid third or fourth round, say, okay, you know what? You're loading up. It's not working. Now we got to box this guy. Box, score some points. Let's get out of here with the W. And nothing happened. He just kept loading up the whole fight, and he was getting countered, and it just didn't work out. Didn't work out for him. Now David, again, I think Caleb Plant is a huge fight for him. There's disdain there. They don't like each other. That's going to be a good fight. And of course, the Charlo, if he decides to move up a little bit to 168, or they meet somewhere along that weight class, that's going to be a mega fight too. But I still think David. I don't want to be rude about it, but I still think David has right now the momentum to give Plant a run for his money and give him hell. And I think that he's going to do the same with Charlo. I think that's a great fight, and that's the fight I want to see. I want to see him fight Plant. That's what I want. That's a fan. That's going to
be a good fight too. I mean, there's fights out there that need to be made, and I'm not going to bring up Spence and Crawford. I'm tired of bringing that up already. If it happens, it happens. I'm just, there's other bigger fights that eventually happen before we even bring up that. Let's talk about Saturday. Let's give it the respect that it deserves, and let's thank Rolly, who's not only going to have this opportunity, but is now self-promoting this fight. The money has switched over to Rolly only because of his interviews, because of his thinking and his confidence. It doesn't matter how do you tell an undefeated man you're not going to win your next fight?
Yeah, I mean the excuse my language, but the cojones that Rolly has, he's had them for a long time. He has wanted to fight Tank. They have had problems for the last 4.5, 5 years. This isn't just 6 months ago. They have had beef for a long time. And Rolly has stated since back then, I'm going to kick this dude's ass, period. And to walk up to a fighter like Gervonta and just say, I'm going to knock you out in one round. You have nothing. You're nothing. I know who you are. I see inside you. I see your soul. I mean, hey, man. Listen, Rolly hits like a middleweight. He hits like a light heavyweight. Rolly hits very difficult. Not difficult. He hits very hard. Very, very, very difficult to see what's going on with his punches from the outside, but the dude does major league damage when he hits somebody or something. Now, the question is he going to be able to get one of these shots off? Because Tank is a very smart fighter. He's got skills to pay the bills. It is like Mayorga, Mosley, or Mayorga. Like, it's just that type of feel for this fight. Rolly is going in there. Mayorga wasn't conventional. He wasn't the slickest of fighter. He ran his mouth, and if he hit you, you were going down. And the same here. If Rolly is able to get a clean shot and land on Tank, that left hook of his is amazing. But Tank also has a left hook and a right hook and an uppercut.
Yes.
And Rolly's going to have to be prepared for it. But I think it's going to be an amazing, amazing fight. And for as long as it lasts, don't get up.
Well, that fight is scheduled for 5 rounds. No, that fight is scheduled for 3 rounds.
Yeah.
I mean, the announcer should just say, scheduled for 3 rounds, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
I mean,
the
it just
over-under is like 4.5.
You know, that's a tough one. I mean, you can't help but I admire and, you know, I'm getting caught up in the Rolly Express and how he handles himself. Does he have a puncher's chance? Oh, absolutely he does.
Yeah, he does. I think so as well.
And he's determined and he truly believes. But at the same time, man, I mean, Tank has proven time and time again be able to make that transition and make his work just look easy at times. But again, styles make fights. And
Rolly was saying in the press conference today, oh, you've been hit by Santa Cruz. You got hit by Pitbull Cruz. He did, but nothing happened to him. Cruz hit him with shots that sent Gamboa into the 5th row.
Oh, gosh.
And Tank maybe buckled just a teeny bit. So Rolly says, I hit harder than Pitbull. Okay, we're going to see come Saturday, and we're going to find out.
You know what? What was it like being around? Because I know you interviewed them both, interviewing Tank and Rolly. How difficult is it for you when you see the two? I mean,
it's not. It was difficult for me with Tank in the beginning a few years ago because he was really shy. He wasn't really open. But like I said, my interviews are not so forceful to shy people away. I try to go in personally, talk about his daughters, talk about his kids, about his family, the maturity, the fact that he's talking about buying homes now instead of buying Bugattis. Like, that stuff matters to these guys, you know. And a lot of people don't like the way I interview because I don't ask the same question that 20 other people asked just 10 minutes ago. I ask personal stuff because honestly, there is some people that want to hear that. They want to hear what's going on and why, you know, why are you thinking about buying houses now? Are you really becoming the man? Like, what's happening? There's a switch in Tank that's happened. The talk about his contract being up and him leaving, you know, today he just said that he may not leave and that there's going to be discussions, that he understands that Floyd and Al Haymon are the best thing that's ever happened to his career. And if he leaves that, how are you going to match that? How do you match the star power of Floyd? Yes, he does sit in your press conferences, and yes, he does, but Floyd brought you a title shot when you lost it on the scale at Mayweather McGregor. You got a title shot right away.
That's right.
You know,
Floyd was not too happy with that either, and he let him know. He schooled him, and a lot of it, Ralph. Not to interrupt you, Tank it's maturity.
Correct. So like now, it's like, where do you go somewhere else and still get that? Like if he does not stay with Mayweather Promotions, I don't think he leaves Al Haymon. I just think that maybe they need to sit down and talk, and I hope that they can keep everybody together. It's a good group that we have. We work really hard at Mayweather Promotions for the fights that we put on. I still think that we do wonderful cards. I think our shows with Mayweather Promotions are probably some of the best shows that are within the PBC brand. All of PBC is doing good shows this year, but the Mayweather show just hits different. The stars come out in droves for those fights, you know, whether it's Tank or Floyd or anybody else for that matter. When we've had those fights, they come out, period. So I don't know. I'm excited. I just can't wait to get there. I can't wait to get there. I want to feel the electricity. It's New York. It's craziness. It's talking back and forth. The weigh-ins tomorrow. I can't wait to see these guys up close. And again, my prediction, the fight doesn't go over 6 rounds and somebody's going to get knocked out, obviously. So I don't know who. We'll see.
I see that happening too. I just I'm pulling for Rolly to win the hearts over, but I mean, Tank is just solid, man. I mean, and there's so many bigger fights for Tank that are there, you know, for his future. I think he's going to be the more disciplined as far as, if you hit me, I don't got to hit you right back. I'm gonna move around. You know, at Holyfield, he gets hit, I'm gonna hit you right back on the spot. Now, you made the reference of, you compare him to, who'd you compare?
Mayorga.
Okay.
Rolly to Mayorga. Yeah, because Mayorga hits really hard, and he ran his mouth, and it sold tickets. And I think that Rolly is probably one of the hardest hitting fighters in that weight class. But the thing is, you have to land these shots, and if he can land the shots, can Tank take them? And that is the mystery there in the fight. Can he land them? And when he does land them, can he hurt Tank? Will Tank buckle, or will he be able to take the punches? We're gonna see. That's the key.
Hey, minus because this fighter really didn't talk too much, but he really reminds me of a modern day Oliver McCall. Remember the Atomic Bull? I mean, just the way he just loaded up with his shots. It was either you or him. Had a granite chin, man. I mean, and I mean that's who he reminds me of. But I can see the comparison definitely.
And it's gonna be wild because Rolly has a good chin as well. So it's gonna be, can Rolly take Tank's punches, and can take, that's what it's gonna be. That's what it is. Whoever lands the harder shot and can take the other man's blows, they're gonna win the fight. And again, Tank said that Rolly's not awkward. Absolutely awkward. He stands crazy. He looks like a dinosaur in that ring. And man, come to find out, we're gonna find out very soon how this is gonna go down.
Since you're a wagering man, because you just put up $3,000 on this motivation bet that's gonna get you in that tuxedo looking slim, trim, and rocking the brim. Now, if you had $1, who would you put it on? Your last dollar right now, and Ralph had to make this bet right now today. Who would you put it on? And why? And why would you put it on there?
The under 6 rounds. All my money's going there. All my money's going there. I'm not gonna say whose head will be raised. But my best pick of the day is the over under 6 rounds. That's the bet.
That's
it's
fair.
not going past that.
That's fair. You know I'm giving you a hard time because you're around both of them on that one. I just wanted to see if you would budge a little bit, and you went corporate, and that's smart. And hey, but no, I don't see it going over under. I mean under.
Listen, Rolly
6
has
rounds,
big
over
shoes
6
to
rounds.
fill. Tank is the man.
Yeah.
Of course, people say that that Tank is an overwhelming favorite. Rolly does have a punching chance, but Tank is the more skilled fighter, and we'll see which one plays out.
Before I let you go, you got to remember, and correct me if I'm wrong. See, you're inside looking out. The first time these two were matched up, Ralph, nobody wanted to see it. They didn't give a damn. Because of Rolly, because of his confidence, because of his demeanor, because of the way he handles himself as a professional salesman, he's convincing himself that he is that person. He's convincing himself, I am that car. I do go fast. I do win races. I am good enough to put this man to sleep. He's been promoting this, and that's why it's been transitioning over to, man, Rolly may win this fight Saturday.
And he's transformed 80% of all new bets are going to Rolly. So if you didn't get your bet in early on Rolly, you better hurry up because the tide is changing very fast.
It is. Ralph, I know you got a busy schedule, man. How can we follow you? What's your Twitter? What's your Instagram? How do we stay in tune with you?
It's the Instagram is Ramblin' Ralph, just RAMBLINRALPH, and the Twitter is Ramblin' Ralph MC.
There you are, man. Any closing words for all your followers, fans, and your supporters, man? And what can we expect Saturday?
I just thank you, man, for bringing me on and letting me be on your platform. It's great, and I love it. And anytime you want to have me on, man, I'm loving your show. I love the way you work, and I appreciate you. But I just have just the words like I was told to me. You never give up. You always never take no for an answer. And you always do your best and always shine when it's your time, period. That's it.
I appreciate that.
All right.
Hey, man, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you coming on the show. And, hey, safe travels in New York. And,
yes.
Yeah, I'll be waiting for that sample next time I see you in Vegas.
I got you.
Okay.
Man. I got you.
All right.
Thank you, man. Take care.
No,
I
thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Yes, you got it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank our guest, Ralph, Ramblin' Ralph. And, he's making it happen. He's doing a great job in not only ring announcing, but he's color commentating, surrounds himself with a professional group with the likes of Bernardo Osuna. And the list goes on. I mean, Kenny Bayless. I mean, when you're a professional and at the elite level, it becomes contagious. Just if you would hang around, certain people who do not want to go to work the next day, or maybe don't have a responsibility that you may have. If you surround yourself with expectations that are high, your expectations will be high and you won't settle for anything less. So we wish Ralph all the best, who's going to be ring announcing on that card, and for safe travels. And, Jamel Herring was going to be on the second show. We're going to shoot 2 shows today. I figured, as a host, that's too soon, because he just made a huge announcement about him walking away from the sport. So I want to give it the respect that it deserves, and look for Jamal Semper Fi Herring in June. And I also want to thank him from the bottom of my heart. On my son's birthday, on national TV, he said, thumbs up for Richie. Even in defeat, he was a winner. He's a class act from start to finish. There's only one Jamal Herring, and that's Mr. Semper Fi himself. So we love you, appreciate you, and I can't wait to see the new Jamal Herring podcast, the Jamal Herring Show, and his color commentating is just off the hook. So the future looks bright for the Herring family, and also congratulations to his daughter who graduated college. And hey, I'm your host, Richard Ortiz. Don't forget to follow our YouTube, www.youtube.com/thefightersvoice. Remember, every fighter has a voice, and so do you. And it's a wrap. Thumbs up for Richie.